What sparked the influencer explosion, and why do so many people follow influencers today? The rise of influencers didn't happen overnight. It was a slow-burning cultural shift, accelerated by the social media platforms, offering ordinary people the chance to become extraordinary personalities. Unlike traditional celebrities who came up through rigid institutions, like film, television, and modeling, these new voices emerged from bedrooms and basements, armed with nothing more than a smartphone, an internet connection, and an ability to connect. They filled a gap the mainstream left open: authenticity, relatability, and niche expertise. As people spent more time online, influencers became more than just entertainers. They became teachers, role models, and even life coaches. Whether it's fitness, fashion, finance, or philosophy, influencers now create tailored content for hyper-specific audiences, developing trust and intimacy through consistent interaction. This shifted power away from traditional institutions and toward individuals, redefining what it means to be famous. But with this new influence came a blurred line between content and commerce. Sponsorships, affiliate links, and brand collaborations transformed many influencers into walking advertisements. While some are transparent and ethical, others promote harmful or misleading products just to cash in. Audiences may think they're getting unbiased advice, but they're often being subtly marketed to in ways that bypass critical thinking. Still, influencers offer something that many institutions lack: emotional connection. They show their highs and lows, their personal struggles, and their mistakes. This openness makes them seem more trustworthy to younger generations, skeptical of mainstream media and authority figures. In an era of alienation and digital overload, these connections can feel incredibly powerful. So the question arises: is this new wave of influence a democratization of media, or a carefully curated illusion? That's what we're here to explore. Are influencers replacing experts as authorities on most topics, and what does that mean for accessing the truth? Influencers often speak on topics they're passionate about, but passion doesn't always equal expertise. A wellness influencer might recommend supplements or diets without scientific backing, or a finance guru could promote risky investments without disclosing affiliations. Yet millions follow their advice. Why? Because trust in institutions has plummeted, and people are turning to relatable sources instead of credentialed ones. This shift is dangerous when content creators blur the line between opinion and fact. Viewers may not realize they're being misinformed, because the information is wrapped in charm and confidence. Especially when algorithms reward bold or extreme takes, influencers can be incentivized to say what gets the most clicks, not what's right. That said, not all influencers are irresponsible. Many do deep research, interview experts, and issue corrections when wrong. Some even fill gaps left by gatekept professions, bringing important ideas to communities who never had access before. But the balance between authority and authenticity remains delicate. Parents, educators, and policymakers now question whether influencer content should be subject to more scrutiny. Should they carry some responsibility when they sway public health or financial decisions? Or are audiences responsible for doing their own research? Ultimately, it raises a fundamental issue. In a world where everyone has a platform, how do we determine who deserves our attention? How are influencers shaping the minds of younger generations today? Young audiences, especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha, are deeply impacted by influencers. Many teenagers now say they'd rather be YouTubers than astronauts, doctors, or teachers. That's not just because of fame, it's the perceived freedom, creativity, and connection that influencer culture offers. They see a career where they can be their authentic selves and be adored for it. But there's a dark side. Studies show that influencer content can distort self-esteem, especially around beauty standards, wealth, and lifestyle. Seeing curated, filtered perfection every day leads to unrealistic expectations. This isn't just about looks. It affects how young people define success, worth, and even morality. The parasocial relationships they form with influencers can be powerful. These are one-sided emotional connections that feel intimate but aren't real. Teens may feel betrayed when influencers make mistakes, endorse harmful products, or reveal a hidden side. This roller coaster of trust and disappointment can be psychologically taxing. Some influencers use their platform to spread positivity, social justice awareness, or mental health advocacy. These examples show the potential for good when power is used responsibly. However, they're often drowned out by louder, more controversial creators. If this generation is being shaped by online personalities, society needs to consider who's leading the charge and who's being left behind in the noise. Can influencers remain authentic while chasing profit? One of the influencers' biggest selling points is authenticity, being real with their followers. But as their popularity grows, so does the pressure to monetize. This often leaves them in a bind. How do you stay true to your audience while also making money off them? Brand deals, affiliate links, and merchandise are common ways influencers earn a living. When done transparently, these income streams are fair, but the push for revenue can lead to blurred ethics. Some influencers hide sponsorships, make misleading claims, or create urgency with limited-time sales that aren't really limited. As this behavior spreads, audiences grow skeptical. Terms like influencer fatigue and content burnout have emerged, and people are starting to feel manipulated instead of inspired. The same parasocial bond that drives loyalty can also foster disillusionment. Interestingly, some influencers have tried to rebel against this cycle, refusing deals, returning money, or being brutally honest about their struggles. These creators often find deeper trust with their audiences, even if they don't scale as quickly. It shows that transparency still holds value. The future may depend on how audiences respond. If they continue to reward honesty over hype, influencer culture might evolve into something more sustainable. If not, the illusion of authenticity may remain just that, an illusion. Are influencers genuine changemakers, or are they just chasing clout? When major social or political issues erupt, many influencers take a stand, or at least appear to. Posts supporting causes like racial justice, environmentalism, or mental health awareness flood social media feeds. While this can amplify important voices, it's also led to accusations of performative activism, or supporting causes only when it's trendy or profitable. Critics argue that some influencers use activism as a branding tool. A black square on Instagram, a TikTok challenge for charity, or a one-time donation can make an influencer look good without demanding real accountability or ongoing action. It becomes difficult to tell who's truly committed and who's using social justice as a marketing tactic. At the same time, some influencers genuinely leverage their platforms for good. They raise money, educate their audiences, and even organize community efforts. But the line between real and fake activism has blurred, and many followers feel conflicted about who to trust. For young audiences, these mixed messages are confusing. One week an influencer may be promoting body positivity, the next they're pushing diet pills. This inconsistency breeds cynicism and detachment, undermining the very causes being highlighted. We're left asking, when the messenger is as important as the message, how do we discern intention from image? What happens when influencers become too exposed or they become too isolated? Unlike traditional celebrities who are shielded by publicists and contracts, influencers often run their own brands. They're constantly online, responding to fans, managing crises, and trying to stay relevant in a very fast-moving ecosystem. This constant presence creates pressure and consequences. Many influencers experience burnout, anxiety, or depression from trying to maintain an always-on persona. They are expected to share intimate details of their lives, but every post is subject to public scrutiny. One wrong move can trigger backlash, doxing, or even harassment. Inversely, the fame also isolates. As influencers grow in popularity, they can lose the ability to form normal relationships. Friends may treat them differently, fans cross boundaries, and strangers make assumptions about who they are based on curated content. The parasocial wall works both ways. Viewers feel close while influencers feel alone. Some influencers take breaks or disappear entirely to protect their mental health. Others become increasingly unhinged, posting erratically, or leaning into controversy to increase their relevance. It's a cycle, driven by algorithms that reward extremes over balance. As the influencer machine keeps growing, it raises new mental health questions for both creators and their audiences. What does it mean when being an influencer becomes who you really are? Influencing has evolved from a side hustle to a full-blown identity. For many creators, it's not just a job. It's a lifestyle, a brand, and a public image they must maintain. This blending of self and status can be empowering, but also deeply disorienting. The line between authentic self and performer becomes blurred. Every meal, outfit, or opinion can be used as content, and personal milestones are shared online for additional validation. Even grief or illness becomes a performance, often met with both sympathy and suspicion. When every moment is monetizable, what does it mean to live privately or authentically? Audiences too are drawn into this ecosystem. Viewers mimic influencers' speech patterns, beliefs, and aesthetics, sometimes without realizing it. The influencer's identity becomes aspirational, even when it's unattainable. This feedback loop of identity shaping affects both sides, creating a strange blend of reality and projection. There's also the danger of identity collapse. If an influencer is canceled, changes direction, or simply burns out, who are they without their followers? The loss of a personal brand can feel like the death of self. Some rebuild, others fade away quietly, and a few spiral publicly. When being known becomes the most important part of your life, the cost of losing that attention can be devastating. Should influencers be treated like public figures, and should the consequences of their actions match? Influencers aren't just entertainers anymore, they're powerful. Some have more reach than national news outlets, others shape opinions faster than political campaigns. With that power comes responsibility, but also a question. Should they be held to the same standards as traditional public figures? Many influencers resist regulation, arguing that they're just individuals sharing their lives, but when those lives impact millions, is that distinction still valid? Governments and platforms are starting to take note, by cracking down on misinformation, tax evasion, and undisclosed sponsorships. There are also cultural consequences. Influencers set trends, amplify ideologies, and shape consumer habits. Their opinions can sway elections, boycott companies, or cancel peers. If left unchecked, this influence can create echo chambers, mob mentality, and polarization. Still, many argue that influencer power is a symptom, not the disease. They didn't invent these dynamics, they just capitalized on them. The real issue lies in how we, as consumers, grant them this influence, through our attention, engagement, and loyalty. So the next time we click follow, maybe we're not just watching someone's life, we're shaping it. What does the influencer culture say about who we are and where we're heading? The rise of influencers is more than a social media trend. It's a mirror reflecting modern society. We crave connection, meaning, and guidance in a fractured world. Influencers fill those needs, for better or worse. They offer hope but also illusion, and connection but also manipulation. Their power lies not just in their content, but in our attention. We reward them with likes, comments, and shares. We elevate them to platforms that once belonged to presidents, CEOs, and movie stars, and in doing so, we shape what society values: appearance over substance, relatability over expertise, and emotion over nuance. But we also have agency. We can choose which voices to elevate, which messages to believe, and which values to live by. If we start treating attention like currency, then we can reclaim the power we've given away. The influencer era isn't ending anytime soon, but by understanding how it works and how it shapes us, we can move from passive viewers to active participants, and maybe create a healthier digital culture along the way. What do you think? Do you believe influencers are a force for good or a dangerous illusion? Has their presence helped or harmed how we see ourselves and others? Let us know in the comments below. We want to hear from both sides. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell if you found this thought-provoking. And share this with someone caught in the scroll. Let's make the algorithm work for real conversations. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.